Baker. I am the president of the Gold Coast Woodturners. And we have a lot of club members here, but Bud Hall is also past president, dedicated club member, and my partner in making this demonstration happen. Happy you guys are here today and here to learn about the wonderful art of wood turning. Gold Coast Woodturners is a club that was established in 1992 when a group of, at that time mostly men, got together to share their interest in the art of wood turning. Over the years, the club has grown significantly. We've become more diverse in our age range as well as gender, having more women in the club. We are a chapter of the American Association of Woodturners, which is the overarching wood turning organization. One of our primary missions as a club is to not only share our love of the art, but to share our skill sets of the art. We have a shop located in Southwest Ranches where our members can come and learn how to turn. As in my experience, I showed up the very first time 9 years ago. I didn't even know what I was getting into. I didn't know what wood turning was. The funny story is I pulled down the street to go to the shop. Nobody knew where I was. I didn't know what I was getting into. And a gentleman put a tool in my hand, and that was it. I was hooked. And it's a wonderful art form where you can really get lost in what you're doing. So if you come out to the club, you need to join the club, come out to the club. We'll provide a mentor. We'll provide all of the tools. We'll teach you about safety, and you can take it away from there. Our club meets once a month. The Sunrise Senior Center, which is just north of here. We meet the third Thursday of every month, and at that meeting, there's always a demonstration where we talk about sort of our members all have different skill sets, and so somebody will come up and demonstrate and teach a little bit about what they are experts in. And without further ado, I'm going to have Bud come up and talk to you a little bit about our demonstrator. So welcome, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for attending, and I want to thank Daniel and the library system for allowing us to take part and be a part of the venue here at the library and community outreach. Our demonstrator today has worked with his hands most of his life. As a kid, he put things apart just to see how they work. He put things together, built tree forts and those type of things as a kid in his neighborhood and with his friends. He moved on into construction in his early teens to work with his dad, and he kind of has stayed working with his hands over the years. His favorite classes in high school and junior high school were metal shop and wood shop. So it's something he retained from his early days. He began wood turning in 2000 after taking a class in Fort Lauderdale from a local woodcraft store, and soon after joined the Gold Coast Woodturners in 2002. He's been a club mentor since 2002 and began his wood turning instructorship in 2004. He served on many of the board positions in the club over the years. He was both president and vice president of the Gold Coast Woodturners. And currently he is still an active member in our group, along with the Palm Beach County Woodturners and the American Association of Woodturners, which is a global organization, which is international, by the way. There are clubs all over the world that are part of AAW. What draws him to wood turning is the limitless opportunities and the instant gratification of creating a new piece. He loves to take a raw piece of wood, create art by featuring its grain patterns, his bark inclusions, the color variations, and the movement of the inherent materials he's working with. He's enjoyed teaching, tool making, and demonstrates frequently. in the Florida and in the Bahamas. He's also demonstrated at state and national symposiums, including the American Association of Woodturners Symposium, the Southwest Area Woodturning Symposium in Texas, the Florida Woodturning Symposium, Woodturners Without Borders in Puerto Rico, and at most of the local state woodturning guilds. So I'm pleased at this time to introduce you to our demonstrator and your demonstrator, Lee Skye.
Hello. I've demonstrated in this room at least twice before. Has anybody been to any of those? It's like 10 or 15 years ago. Long time. Okay. Well, today I'm going to just turn some simple projects. This demonstration goes on till 4:30. And the good thing about wood turning is a lot of the wood we can get, especially down here in South Florida where we live, it's like the best assortment in the whole North America. I mean, down in, what do you call it, the Yucatan Peninsula, they've got some wild stuff down there. But right here where we live, we got some awesome woods. We have the Indian rosewood, Florida mahogany, bottle brush, camphor wood, just a plethora of really good wood to turn. And a lot of it is just the figure and the grain in it is just so extraordinary. But we take trees we get, usually with bark on them, and I could make a goblet out of this piece with bark around the edge, or these mushrooms are made out of one of these pieces. This is the actual bark of the tree, and then the mushroom, including the little flange underneath, was just cut out of this while it was spinning on the machine. And the wood lathe is one of the most versatile woodworking tools there are. Because I could make a completely square block with sharp corners like this on this machine. And you can't do that on a table saw or a drill press or planer or joiner or most of the other things. Igor could do it.
I can do it on the drill press.
Yeah. But that's one of the things that attracted me to this. I had an idea for a project of taking a person's face profile and cutting it into a vase where you can pick it up and stick it on your face and it touches you all the way up. And I've even made cremation urns for people like that. But to learn to do that, I had to learn a whole bunch of other stuff. To learn to use the tools, the machine, sharpening them, shaping them for what I want to do. And it's a lot of fun too. Now, a lot of our woods have different properties, like the Florida mahogany, also called the Cuban mahogany, is a very stable wood. We like cutting the wood when it's wet. And as it dries, there's some movement to it as it dries. And the mahogany hardly moves at all. But like this piece here, this bottle brush, when I cut this, all these fins were absolutely straight. And as it dried, they've warped all over quite severely. And I've had other ones. Some of the bowls will go so far out around, like live oak or the bottle brush or camphor. If you cut it wet, it's almost football shaped. It's so out around. And some of the woods have really interesting figure and colors. Like this is hackberry, and it was cut up and waxed, and I don't know how long it sit, but when we got this piece of wood, it was round and about that thick, and Cindy, my girlfriend, paid $8 for it. We had no clue. It was black as their shirts. And then we put it on the lathe and cut it, and I went, oh my goodness, look at that. So we have a bigger bowl, too, that these fit into. So I went, no, we're not just cutting one piece. I'm going to core these out and make a few different bowls out of it, which that's another aspect of it. If I have a plain piece of wood and I'm doing just a bowl, which I don't do that much of. I like to do fine art. I like to get really creative. But there's people that only make pens and people that only make bowls. And like my buddy Carl used to just crank out salad bowl after salad bowl after salad bowl. And then 26 years, I've made probably 30 salad bowls. I've done little ones for demonstrations and classes, but I find bowls kind of boring. But if you have an extraordinary piece of wood like that, let's make the most out of it. Some of the wood we use, this is a natural edge. The bark of the tree was right on top of here and here. See, the bark is still on top of here. Some of the woods, the bark stays on really well, some it doesn't. So we can make boxes. This is camphor wood. It smells like Vicks Vapor Rub. It's just, I'd bring a piece and turn it, but it's not the whole room. And there's a couple people out of 100 that don't like it. My buddy Larry made some duck calls. So, and this is a piece of box elder, which is a type of maple, and about 5% of the box elder trees, especially if they're down like a boggy river edge, they get this red spalting or coloring into it that is just extraordinary. And that's all natural color in that wood. This is a piece of maple like this. It was this color. And you can see the ribs in there. When you move it, it shimmers and changes. I dyed it this teal color. And that's my little hollow vessel with the lid. This, anybody know what this is?
Carpenter's mallet.
No,
Carpenter's mallet.
it's a potato masher. I have a bigger one at home, and it's the best potato masher I've ever had. My buddy Tom came over to my studio once when he was in town, and he said, "I got to make Jennifer a Valentine's Day gift." I go, "Okay, what do you need?" He goes, "I need a piece of wood about like that." I go, "What are you making?" He goes, "Potato masher." So he made a mallet, and I had a few I made, and I cut the potatoes up and cooked them, and it's wonderful. Super easy to clean. It does a great job. So you got to think outside the box on things we make. We can make pens here. Like this wood on this pen, I don't know how clear it'll show up there. It's macadamia nut wood. It grows down here. I only know where there's one tree, but I got this tree off my buddy Carl's street. His neighbor cut down their tree, and it's got a really interesting pattern. This is abalone shell that was cast in epoxy resin. And that is really extraordinary. If you make those yourself, it's a whole lot cheaper, because just that piece there costs $30. And we buy the kit. There's a brass tube inside there. Might be silver colored or white, and then you drill a hole in a blank, epoxy it in there, put it on the lathe, turn it around to fit the parts, and you've got a really nice ink pen or fountain pen or pencil. So I'm going to start off today with just this piece of white maple. I'm going to do a quick spin top. Any young people know what a spin top is?
Like those toys?
Yeah, you spin them and they just go round and fall over. They're real simple to make, and let me get adjusted here. Take this out and button up. We don't get chips down inside our pants. But there's a whole lot of different things we can do on a lathe. And first we need a lathe. We need to mount the wood securely. This way is between centers. These are chucks. I'm going to make a tenon, like on this piece, that fits inside the chuck, and the chuck holds it. And there's a whole lot of other ways to do it, depending on what you're making. And then we have our tools. The first set is gouges. They're either round or a curve, but they have a flute in them. And these are kind of the movers and the shakers of woodcutting. Then we have scrapers, which scrape the wood off. They work in a different way, but a lot of these tools can do the same thing. And parting tools and a skew They all do a little bit different things, but they can cross over and do the same. This is a spiraling texturing tool. While the wood's spinning, I touch it on there, that little wheel spins, and it cuts all kinds of different patterns into the wood. This one, the handle is textured, gives you a really good grip when you're mashing those taters up. Like this piece is a cell phone speaker. You can turn on your music and put it on like that. It just really increases the sound. No batteries required. So you can have it facing you so you can see whatever video you're watching, or just have my speakers down here. And it's a lot of fun. This piece of wood is called Spectra Ply. It's got layers like plywood, and they're all dyed before they're glued together. I think this comes in like 30 different colors. So there's a lot you can do in wood trimming.
If anyone has any questions, do you want them to?
Yeah, feel free to ask. I mean, don't wait till the end, because some of you are old, like some of us, and you'll forget.
What about the oak trees that we have so many of? Can you use the oak?
We have about 4 different varieties of oak trees here. The most common is live oak, and I really don't like this stuff. It's hard. It's gorgeous. I mean, I've made bowls like this out of it, just salad bowls and things, but it's good wood, but it's harder to work on than some of the other woods that we have, which are, in my opinion, prettier. But yeah, one of my neighbors where I live in Country Club Estates, just the other side of the turnpike, and one of the neighbors just cut down an oak tree that big. All the branches are gone, and there's the big trunk right there cut up. Well, if anybody wants to come over, get it. But there's about 16 dead iguanas laying next to it.
Dead or frozen.
I know. I hate the cold, but I'm so glad we got this little cold snap. All right, now, this piece of wood, the grain goes across like this. And how you mount it to the machine depends how you cut it, the direction you cut it. Like this way, we're cutting downhill from larger to smaller diameter. Down, 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 down. Just like sharpening a pencil. If you sharpen one with a knife, you're going down, down, down. If we take our blank and turn it sideways, like this one, the grain goes along this way. I have to cut it in the opposite direction in most cases. Not imperative. Some woods allow you to cut against the grain, but a lot of them, the best cut is with the direction of the grain. Here you're cutting this way, there you're cutting that way. Just works a whole lot better, you get a better finish on the wood, you get less problems overall. Now I need to find my safety glasses first. And with all machinery, safety is number 1. Instruction and knowing what you're doing is also very important. So if you don't have safety equipment, that's when you can get hurt badly. Your eyes and your lungs are number 1 important. Sometimes, like if I'm doing a bowl like this and I'm in here with a tool, this is just echoing so loud. I will put ear protection on too. And it's like the rosewood here. I mean, look at that bowl. It's a beautiful bowl. Some people are sensitive to the rosewood family of trees. Me, it doesn't bother me at all. But tropical almond, gorgeous wood, really gorgeous. I can't be around it. And I only know one other person who is sensitive to it. Everybody else has no problem. Okay, the first tool I'm going to use is called the spindle roughing gouge. And we only use this if the wood is mounted with the grain along the lathe. If you mount it sideways, you do not use this tool. Pick up a bowl gouge. It's the tool to use there. First thing, I want to round it off. I'll be making a tenon, put it in the chuck. Always put the tool on the tool rest before you touch the wood. If you touch the wood first, it's going to grab your tool, slam it down on here really hard. And with a tool like this, with this little tang here, I've seen those break off. And you need to check this. This presses in. This side has a spur drive. This side has bearings in it. And we need to continually tighten this to make sure it's pressing in and holding the wood until we put it in one of the chucks or another means of holding it. Now, holding our tool, you just want to be at a good pace, close to the lathe, not too far back. If your arm's down here, and where you can comfortably stop halfway, that's where you want to hold your tool. You need to adjust the height of the tool rest so your tool's in the proper place, because I can come up and down easily, but if I'm already down here and I have to go lower, it doesn't work. It puts me in a bad position. That's where mistakes happen. So right here, that's my best spot. Touching the bottom of the grind from sharpening, and then I'm going to raise the handle up to the cutting. And then just go back and forth. When you do about 4 cuts, retighten this. Do about 10 more, retighten it. If you have a softer wood like this Norfolk Island pine or mango, you need to tighten this more. If you have a firmer wood like rosewood, you've got to tighten it about 1 time. That's all it takes. Now I need to check and see if I'm round. See, there's still a big flat spot. So any adjustments we make, like adjusting the tool rest closer or further away at a different angle, you want to shut the machine off. That's safer. Yeah, I'm putting the tool up on top, not near the cutting edge. Right here's a little flat spot in the wood still.
Notice you're moving your body and not your arms.
Yeah, if your arm's away from your body, you're using so much more muscle that you don't need. If it's here and then you're just moving your body, whenever you turn, your eye is always in the best spot too. This hand, whether it's your left or your right, needs to always be touching the tool rest. Touch that, your hand touching the tool rest, move the tool in, go back and forth. It's not effortless, but it's a whole lot easier. Now this is round. I need to take a parting tool. Big one must still be in the box. I'm just going to cut a little tenon, T-E-N-O-N, to grab the chuck. And that needs to be accurate in shape to the inside of the chuck jaw, and it needs to be on top of the jaws. So usually we do it on the right side, then we flip it over. But you don't have to. Depends on the wood. The knockout bar. Back up my tool rest. And just doing that's not good enough. You need to snap that on there so you can't loosen it. Just so you know, that's a stage creaking, not my old bone. Now, even though it's in the chuck, and the chuck will hold it, and I can turn it on, we want to use the tailstock with the bearing center as much as possible until it's in the way. Like if I'm doing a goblet, which you can actually drink out of, I don't take this away till I have that outer shape partway done, and I'm going to hollow inside there. But this needs to stay on there as much as possible. Okay, so just doing a spin top, we're just going to angle the bottom, come in on the top, and do a stem. It's pretty simple to do. I'm going to use a bowl gouge first. And when you first mount your wood, like if I was to mount this, it's not perfectly round and balanced. So you need to keep the speed down. Once it's true and secure in there and balanced, you can crank the speed up and everything goes a lot faster. Changing to a spindle gouge. Okay, I went all the way down, cut my little point. Now what I like to do is remove this sharp point on this type of center and put in a ring cup. I like to hold it and touch it on there. It makes a mark. And I'll go with the parting tool, make that mark bigger. So this center goes right into that groove. Everything is secure. Now this other tool, this is the one that does the little decorations. On spin tops, I like to use a light wood and then texture it, and then I get markers and color it. It gives it a really interesting look. You can see that's just kind of smooth and whitish looking. So this tool, you want the speed a little high. If you can imagine the circle from the grain, I want that cutting angle right there, or slightly off. When I touch the wood lightly, it'll start spinning and put more pressure and just go back and forth. It takes about 1 second. Now I'll take my parting tool and come on the other edge. Now this lathe has a reverse on it, so I can run it backwards. But before you do that, you need to make sure this is secure, because this chuck can come unscrewed, or anything else you screw onto this. So I don't know, can you see that texture? I'm going to use a darker green marker on there. And I'm going to use this yellow one down in the center. Out here. How's that look now? I mean, I can really, like this, I'll do one and I can get another one out of it. I can make a whole bunch of these blanks and I can crank out like 20 of these in just a couple hours. They're real easy to do. See, since this is so long, I want to put my center back on it. If it was only half as tall, I wouldn't even put this back on. But I want the support because I'm going to be cutting a little aggressive and heavy to get it done fast. But first, we need to put it back and forward. This is a parting tool. You could go in and actually cut the part piece all the way off. If we're using a box, I'll use that to cut this part and So I cut that groove and a few other things. Work all the way down to my stem. I'm going back to a bowl gouge. Now I'm going to cut that same angle I did here for the next spin top. That also gets the material out of the way because I want to come in here, cut the top of that smooth. And it's learning how to use the tools, apply the cutting edge of whatever shape it is to the wood to have it cut the way you want. Cleaning up the side, and clean up the top of it. Do the stem. I want to use the same tool to texture the top. I like to do it in reverse for the coloring. I could do it down like this angle, but reverse gives you just helps the markers last longer. And you don't want to go on too fast when you do this. I'll do a couple little stripes up on the stem, going a little fast. Throw a little yellow on here. And first I'm going to cut my grooves. After I texture, I like to groove the outer edge of the texture because it just makes it a little more interesting. Cleans everything up. Now, usually we have to use sandpaper to clean this up. This is a good hard piece of maple, and when you cut it right, you almost don't have to sand it. It just cuts so clean and nice. If it's a softer wood, like this Norfolk, you got to sand it, no matter what. This box elder is a softer wood. And most woods, almost always, you have to use sandpaper. We're not going to do that today here. Where did my spindle gouge go? I'm just going to go with the yellow now on top. A little more of the green. Okay, now I like to take this off, going with the spindle gouge, just cut it off. I like to leave a little point on the top because spin tops, you can do them upside down too. And if you have a good point there instead of a flat spot, they look really neat. My buddy was in town once and his 12-year-old son came over to my studio when I had it. And, I showed him how to make a spin top and he's working on it. So I went to one of my other lathes and I made one real quick and I go, huh, mine's nicer than yours. And without missing a beat, this 12-year-old kid goes, that's because mine's not done yet. All right, speed it up a little. Now, I took off the sharp corners on the edge. You can cut this and leave this really sharp, and if it touches you while it's spinning, it will cut you. But you can sand it, and I use a tool, rounded this over so it's safe. I need to hold it while I'm cutting this so it doesn't go flying off. cut it off. Now, if you do a good one, you give it a hard spin and you make the next one, and you're going to finish it before that one stops. So you can do it upside down too. Umbrella tops.
Move the big ball.
Move the what?
Move the rose roll so you can see it with the camera. There you go.
Yeah, and they just dance around till they stop. You can make the bigger ones where you wrap the string around and you throw them, and they spin for 5 minutes. They're like that. You can take that one home with you. But if you want to pass it around so everybody can see it, that's okay. Now, if I was going to continue on here, do my next one, turn on the lathe, finish the bottom, texture it, cut the grooves, color this side, do the same up here. I could just do another one real quick. But we've only got 50 more minutes. And that was just a piece of wood. This is hard maple. It was a tree with bark on it somewhere. What's that?
No, you said, yeah, bark somewhere.
Yeah, it was a tree from somewhere. This is a dry piece of bottle brush. I could cut it up into this kind of shape if I wanted. I could do a piece with the bark on it sideways, or the bark around this way. I could make something like this out of it. It's just about unlimited the things we can do. A lot of the wood we get off the side of the road, especially after storms and construction. What's that?
How do you take off the bark?
If I'm going to leave it on like this, I just leave it on there. This piece has a little opening there, so I know that, so maybe this chunk of bark will fly off, so I can work some glue and sawdust down in there while I'm cutting it to get it the thickness I want from both sides if I want to keep the bark. Like this bowl, the bark has been taken off because maybe when it dried, like our Florida mahogany, Cuban mahogany, there's always about that much of the bark which pops loose, and the rest stays on really good. Mango, the whole thing stays on. Rosewood, it stays on pretty good.
So this is the bark, that dark spot?
Yeah, that's the bark of the tree.
Oh, right here, okay.
See, this was actually a trunk of the tree or a big branch, and then it spread off into two branches. That's why you get
I
this
see, I
heart-shaped
see.
look to it.
Okay. Makes
That's
sense.
called a natural edge bowl. This one has no bark, that one has bark. And again, the different trees, the bark stays on different. Like the bottle brush, it usually stays on pretty good, but there's a little pop loose there and there. And I do these little, well, the mushrooms I dug, and these I didn't have to do any bark repair on. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
So if you wanted to take the bark off, would you do it with the lathe turning, or would you?
I
remove the bark
usually
when
do it
says
once it's off, once it's pretty done, and then I just chip it, pop it, carve it, get it off. Sometimes, if you know it's loose and you're going to work on your piece, pop it off before you go. Because you don't want a big chunk of bark coming off like that and hitting you or damaging something else. All right, next I want to do just a handle. We have these, Igor did a demonstration for our club 3 months ago. This is a piece which will go on here. This is to open the pull tabs on sodas and soup cans and cat food cans. At my house, we go through at least 4 cans of cat food a day. So,
Is it good?
I like the tuna. And I'm going to show a different way to hold the wood on the lathe. Okay, I need my long bar. Once we put something off, we gotta be able to get it off, or on, we gotta be able to get it off. This is called a screw chuck. It's got threads and screws onto the spindle here. There are different ones which just fit inside the chuck and stick out. You can use them that way too. And I like to make sure everything is tight because I've had some pieces come loose. If it comes loose, it usually just creates some vibrations which show up on your wood. Just snug it up a little bit. I've already drilled this one and tapped it with a thread die to go into here because this is the same thread. So when that screws on, that will hold it in place. Now I still need to use my live center.
Oh, what is that?
What? Oh, this is Ambonia Burl. That's you should see the one I got at home we use. It's just phenomenal. If you notice, I wrote mine on there. This one's mine.
So Sydney doesn't take it?
See, now the center point here is moving around a little from when I had this on it originally. Tapping it and screwing it onto here, this isn't absolutely true. But if I put this in there, it's going to be bouncing around. So I want to use this one again with no point in it. Push it up, lock it, tighten it down, slow it down a little. Now all I'm doing for this is just making a handle something like that. I have big hands. The gloves I wear are extra large. I can't fit into a large glove. So I like a bigger handle. Cindy's hands are a lot smaller than mine. So yeah. Now this wood here, this is queen palm or royal palm wood. It's got light color areas and burgundy fibers. But we have 4 palms that grow here that have black fibers on here with the light color wood. So I like to work on this palm, but it's some of the worst stuff you can ever work on. It's just really nasty. Chips, it sticks in you like needles, it dulls your tool in like 30 seconds. It's just awful stuff.
It looks good when you're done.
Yeah.
What's that?
It looks good when you're done.
Oh yeah, it's extraordinary when it's done. Now I need to reduce the diameter on this a little. I'm secure. That is screwed into this wood. And this is actually side grain. So in grain, we cut larger to smaller, larger to smaller, larger to smaller, larger to smaller. This is actually side grain, so I need to cut smaller to larger, smaller to larger, smaller to larger. For it to cut well. If the wood allows me to do the cuts I want, it works. Some woods will, some woods won't. And in my studio, my shop, I always have a dust mask on. You need to protect your lungs. If it's some wood, like rosewood, and I know I'm going to do a lot of sanding, I'll put a respirator on with the big filters. Like the tropical almond, I can't be around it. And I know where there's this tropical almond burl about that big, and I guess I'm going to cut that off that tree, and I'm going to turn it. I have a full body suit I'm going to wear when the painter's one, and I have a full face shield that seals here with the respirator built in. I'm going to do that.
Does the owner of the tree know you're going to do it?
It's on the side of a mall property, over the fence from everything. I got a picture on
Is
my
it
phone.
happening in the middle of the night?
Oh no, it's going to be daytime. I got an electric chainsaw, I'll run over there, just cut it off, the battery powered one. But usually I get permission if there's something, like these bottle brush trees have these burls all over them. They're round and they hang like off a pencil thick branch. I love those things. And If they're on somebody's property, I ask them, hey, can I be bunched up in? They say, oh, yeah, sure. And,
My dad was
see, I'm trying to keep my mouth closed, but the chips are coming up.
He didn't do
And I don't know if you noticed, I put my thumb up here, which is deflecting the chips out. Whoops. See, this came loose, so you need to make sure everything is tight. If you ever hear a new sound show up,
because I saw what he did.
stop and figure out what's going on. Maybe you just got a big chip of wood that's going whap, 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 and hitting your tool rest
You
here.
can make a table.
Maybe it's a crack that you don't know about. See, like this piece, there's a crack right across there. That's why that's going to be the bottom of my little bowl I make, because I don't have to deal with that. Oh, this is such a pretty piece of wood.
It is gorgeous.
Wow. It's mine.
Is there fat pieces or no?
Have you ever turned wood before?
No, my dad is a was a wood, he did. My
Okay.
dad did.
This lady makes magnificent things. My girlfriend does it too. She's not my girlfriend, but I'm not saying you're not worth it, Laura. Another thing about the lathe is everything we make, there's a way to remount it on the lathe and do some changes to it. I take the Norfolk Island pine and I make wood lampshades out of it. It's one piece of wood, started as a log of bark. And when you turn the light on, all the light color areas glow amber. And this wood has a big ring of knots around it. Like say there's 6 branches coming out on the same level. Those are red. And those glow orange, like that exit light almost. So when I do a lampshade, it's a 16th inch thick. I have a wood hat I wear too. It's got a crack in it, I gotta fix again. Otherwise I would have had it today. But when we do the Norfolk, it's just gorgeous, gorgeous wood. But
And what is the name of the one that you have on the?
this is Amboynia burl. This is a burl, an abnormal growth on it, off Amboynia tree. It's related to bloodwood trees. Oh, that is a pretty piece of wood. Now, this tool, the spindle roughing gouge, is not good to come around down the sides. So for me to round this over, I need to change to a different tool. I can do that, I can roll this on the side and cut down, but it's just easier to pick up a different tool and safer. So down like this shape here, this tool is only good down to about 40 degrees, not 45. If it's getting too much, it's going to be grabbing and digging in. So now I'm going to pick up a bowl gouge first. I could use a parting tool or a spindle gouge or a skew, but I got a bowl gouge right here. Now this is allowing me to cut against the grain because the grain actually goes across. I should be cutting from there up for my best cut according to the grain of the wood. But this wood's letting me cut against the grain. Go to my spindle gouge now. Now when I'm doing finishing cuts, my final cuts, I slow down and make sure that grind mark, the bevel here, I'm gliding that completely on the wood. Not out here with a space in between. So then that cutting edge is dragging across the wood. You need to be on that bevel to have best cut, and best support, and best control. If I'm way out here, that's a scraping cut. That's safe also, but it leaves a rougher finish. If I was using a scraper on this, I would have this further away and be down below, so that's dragging on the wood like that. Either on that bevel or less than 90 degrees. And you need to frequently stop and look at what you got going on. So you may say, oh, there's a rock or bug, live one or dead, there, and I want to change that, I want to take it out. Oh, see, I'm just feeling this for my hand, since this is mine. Now, I have a sharp edge right here, which I don't want. So I want to round that over while we're still at this point.
What exactly is a burl?
What's that, Richard?
What is a burl?
What?
That's a burl, piece of burl wood. What is a burl?
It's an abnormal growth on the tree. It can cause by damage to the tree, like from insects or a virus or bacteria, or sometimes just something that causes explosive growth, like thousands of branches coming out in this little area. And there's usually some really nice figure and grain. There's kind with eyes that are all over. There's what's like the oak burls are mostly onion burls. It just has a lot of really swirly grain in it. And like our Brazilian pepper trees here, the Florida hollies, they have a lot of burls, but there's nothing in them. I've cut many of them open, and there's no eyes, no grain, no nothing. So if you see any of those, don't even bother with them. They're just awful. Call me, and I'll come and take care of it. Like the Australian pine trees that grow here. I've seen burls big as the whole front end of a car on them, but that stuff is as hard as the concrete. It's one of the hardest woods we have here. It's just not pleasant to work on. But, everybody tries it once, and they don't do it again. All right, at this point, I would sand most of this up. Like sometimes I will just cut a bunch of grooves in it, like this handle here. I want a good grip on this. If my tool handle gets dust and things in here, I don't want that really smooth. These grooves give me better grip. And this wood is so exciting, I'm not going to do that. All it's for is to do a pull tab on a can of soup or a can of cat food. I don't do sodas, so it'll never be. I drink V8s with the pull tab. But I don't need those grooves for extra grip on there. Mashed potatoes, yeah, you could really have some texture. And I could texture this, but this is such an exciting piece of wood, it's worthless to do that. It's just a bad idea. I want to cut in here tight with the parting tool, and again, I'm leaving this on as long as I can, because this is so far out, and that's screwed in there. I'm going to slow it down a little bit as we're coming to the end of this one. Spindle gouge again. This allows me to get down in there deeper. Now I have another tool. This is called a vortex tool. It's just a round shaft with a flat on the top and a bevel. I can get all the way in that little space that's that wide and cut this off smoothly. Now that came all the way off. See, this is on here, and it's still pretty good. There's one little thing where the grain, and so I want to come and just cut that tip just to here. I could just power sand this, taking one of these on a drill, and have the drill running and that running at the same time. It'll make short work of any sanding I need to do. Just go through all the grits, like 120, 180, 220, 300, 320, 400. But this, I just want to come and cut that little bit. Now, if you pretend this is all sanded, I'll put a rod in there and just spray some lacquer on here. But this is the piece. So if you want to look at this, then pass it around, because that's going to be when you put finish on that, it's just going to be so pretty.
Wow. This is gorgeous.
And this is a dedicated screw chuck that screws on here. You can take a bolt and cut the head off and have it, if you have a Jacobs chuck, you can put that here or here. Here is a drive like this, or here, and put drill bits in and drill your holes while the wood is spinning. It's cheaper than having one of these. I got one and it works, and that's a little more stable.
What would you recommend for a beginner?
Depends what you want to make.
Well, just practice till I actually get good at it.
Well, I recommend, like our club, if you're off on Wednesdays and Thursdays, you come over to the shop there, unless you find a mentor that's available when you are. I teach classes in my home now. I used to have a studio for 20 years up in Oakland Park. And if you want to try making a pen, or a little bowl, or a box, or one of these handle, or anything, or we have people in the club, Gold Coast Woodturners, that can teach you anything you want to know about it.
Okay.
Like segmenting. Somebody will take and they'll glue up 780 pieces of wood and make something this shape. I will never do that. You got the little squares of wood, rectangles, and all different patterns, and give me that already glued up, I'll turn it. But I'm not going to make that. Like we have a thing, what's the urn project called?
The Veterans Urn.
Yeah.
Missing in America.
Missing in America, we make urns for veterans' ashes that are all over the country that nobody's ever claimed them. They're just in a hospital or a funeral home or something. And we take them, and like once every 3 months, they do a service up here on Lakewood.
February 26th is the next internment at the
Yeah,
National Cemetery.
and they'll do like 15 or 35 veterans. They have a big ceremony with the military there, and they put the urns in. Those are glued up like 12 staves of wood and a couple cap pieces. And
They're made like a barrel.
some people make the blank, and then some people make the shape and cut it round. And it's a really good project.
There's one in the display out on the other side of the library.
Yeah, over in the big room with all the books. Okay, so I'm going to put my spur drive back in because my side grain blank is, I need to mount it between centers, cut it the outside of the bowl, and make a foot, a tenon on it, so I can put it in the chuck. This one has the crack on it, so that's going to be on the bottom. This will be the top of my piece. Primarily, we start with it this way, round out our bowl, make our foot, our tenon over here, and we turn it around, clean up the outside, face it off, hollow the bowl.
Lee, is this local wood?
No, that's from Asia. Now, this one guy at the Florida Wood Turning Symposium, which is coming up in 2 weeks over in Lakeland, there's going to be like 800 pieces like this out that people from all over have made, and there's 4 demonstrations going at once. There's tool vendors and wood sellers, and it's a really big event. And, there was a guy selling that stuff there last year. Like that blank was about this square and about that long, and for I think $10 a piece. And then the guy decided 2 months later he's going out of business, and Cindy and I drove over to Tampa area with tubs, and we bought, we spent $1,800 at the show. And then we went over there and spent $950. But he was selling those blanks for $5. They were this big and that tall. And the pen blanks already rounded, 3/4 inch and this long. At the show they were $5. Over there they were $2. I mean, he had a big rack about from here to that wall like this and that, and with all of those blanks. And I went through every single one of them. I bought like 60 of them. If you talk to me nice, I may part with one for you.
What are you talking about?
Now, I like to pound the centers in there. This center has a little springy point. Most of them don't. So you need to pound it in there so it grabs. I want to go back to my small point because that holds better than that circle. Now, this is a bigger piece of wood, and I need to make sure the lathe is slowed down before I turn it on. If you always start with the lathe at the lowest speed, that's good. Like this little door opens, and there's 2 different belt pulleys in here. Some lathes don't have this knob where you can speed it up and slow it down, and you have to change those pulleys down below and above. And those work, it takes, I don't know, 30 seconds to do once you get used to it. So you need to make sure your lathe is running at the slowest speed. Now, I do not want to use this tool, the spindle roughing gouge, on a side grain piece. The grain goes across here. So this goes in the pin. We need to grab a bowl gouge. It's a round, solid shaft, has a deep flute down in there. The spindle gouge is a round shaft, but the flute is shallower. And this tool is for finesse and detail. This tool is for roughing out medium cuts and finish cuts. But the spindle gouge does more detail. So I can either start going back and forth across this way. When I start my curve, I want to cut from this direction towards that. Smaller diameter towards larger. If you go the opposite way, it'll be catching and digging in, and I could have a big chunk like that break off and just go flying. It may come this way, may go up there, maybe over there. So. And I did look at my wood. I've determined there is a crack right here. It's not really bad. It only goes about that deep. So I'm going to be cutting that away. My bowl top will be about up here. The bottom will be somewhere here. The rest of this is waste wood. Or it will be left over for a different piece or a jam chuck to hold something when I cut the bottom off. I've got 25 minutes left. And if you're new, first thing when you turn it on, make sure if it's something like that, you have a full face shield on. You stand aside, don't stand right here, because that's where stuff happens, right here. Have your head over here, your head over here. Look at our speed. Now my spur drive, the one on this side, the points that dig in are a little worn off. So I know this thing will be stopping and spinning. I got to tighten this a lot on this piece of wood. Again, see, my tool's got to be way down here. I want to raise my tool rest to get it up where it's my best spot. If you're always working from your best spot, that's when things happen nice. This is Norfolk Island pine. It's a soft wood. So this center and that one will be working their ways in with the vibrations I'm making. And again, like a rosewood, you've got to tighten it about once. Touching the bottom, the heel, raise it up slowly. When I see a chip, that's where I want to cut. See, I told you that would be stopping my cut. I need to tighten this up a little bit. I can come from either direction. If I'm cutting flat, either direction's fine. If it's flat this way, either direction's fine. But when you get an angle, you need to follow the grain of the wood. And this piece of wood, since it has a saw marks on it, that's why you adjust this with the lathe off. It has saw marks on it, so it's off balance a little bit, like a car tire. When it's out of balance, it bounces. So first thing, I need to get it smooth. And see, since I only have safety glasses on, if you notice, I keep my face over here and not right here. Just in case a little chunk comes off, I don't want to hit me here. Here's no big deal. And a lot of these tools, like you can see on this one, there's a corner here and here, all along there, around the point, and up the other side. That's all cutting edge that you can use. Not just this little bit in the front. You can use all that. Like that first tool I started with, the blade's that wide. You can roll it. If this edge gets cut dull, you roll it, you're in a new spot. Fresh, brand new, clean edge. If that gets dull, roll it, you're in a new spot. And that's part of the learning. Like this little parting tool, that cutting edge is only 1/16 inch wide. I can cut with these long sides too, so there's 5 cutting edges on that. The other ones are different. And this is almost completely round. I want to speed it up a little bit. Remember, check the tightness, check the tightness. Here, open that up and smell it. It's camphor wood. And that's lost a lot of its smell. I made that over 5 years ago. If I cut that fresh here, like this little piece, this whole room would smell nice. Okay. My blank is totally round. I'm just looking at it. The top's angled down. There's a bug hole there, a bug hole here. So I may shorten this down. So now I need to start rounding it up from this end, make my tenon to grabbing the chuck. I can see if my parting tool on side grain will allow me to go in. Softer woods, it usually doesn't let you do that. Harder woods, it lets you do that. Because I have to make this tenon. Now our chucks, which squeeze the wood, or you can put it inside and open it up, the length of this, if I have this 1/8 inch tool, I go 1, to 3 and a little bit. So if I'm doing something really tall, I need that tenon as tall as possible. If I'm just doing a box lid that's only that tall, that tenon can be an 1/8 inch tall. It's not holding much. But the base, I want it twice as thick because that piece is this long. And this is going to be a bowl, so I want to make it a little deeper. I've already got about 1.5 thicknesses. Got 1, 2, a little more. Now this corner here is sharp and jagged. It's like a steak knife. And if you touch that while it's running, it will slice you open. Takes less than a second to just go. That won't cut me. I just took off that edge. It was just, you could touch it with sandpaper. I'm just using this long edge of that tool. You can use it into the tool. It's all it takes to make it safe. If you don't mind your wood looking like that with red stuff all over it, don't do that. Okay, now since I'm going to be cutting up at an angle here, I need to move my tool rest. I have it straight. I want to put the shorter piece over here. So now my flute on the gouges, the direction you're cutting, you should angle that flute in that direction. I'm cutting this way, so I'll angle it this way. I know from doing thousands of pieces of Norfolk, it does not cut well against the grain. Even this, since the grain goes like that, right here there's a really torn up spot. This is really smooth, and right here is a really torn up spot. That's because you're cutting on the end of the grain and it's tearing this up. The other woods, the mahogany, the rosewood, it's not that big of an issue. Check my tailstock. Now I'm cutting this direction. Now I need to leave a little ledge here that surface is going to sit on top of my chuck jaws. The bottom, I don't want it touching the inside. It's not strong. In here and on top is where you have 100% strength. Okay, we've got 17 minutes. Plenty of time. So I think I'm going to put this in the chuck and just shorten the top down, because it doesn't need to be a long bowl. See, like this wood, can you see all these different light, dark lines there? So I like the way that looks. Sometimes I've made pieces and the patterns from this darkness is called spalting, and I've had it look like a DNA pattern going up the side of a piece. It's really neat when you get one like that. And we can use the tools in different ways. One way you cut it, there's going to be a lot of torn up grain, and then you adjust the tool to a shearing cut, and it'll be like 400 grit sandpaper, just so smooth. Put our chuck back on. Did you get that spin top back? Pretty, isn't it? I was at one show once and I had a bowl with a bunch of those in, and this professor from Miami University came and saw those, and he goes, I've been looking for these. He said, I have a physics class I'm teaching, and I'm trying to teach centrifugal force. And he bought 3 of them to use in the college down there. Now, sometimes you have your spindle out too far, and that's not good, especially if you're doing heavy work. So you're going to bring this back and move everything up. Now that center is not exactly lined up, so I'm going to trim this a little, put that in the hole, and then grab the chuck and the wood.
You've saved that for 2 years.
What's that?
No, the apprentice chuck.
Oh, yeah, they don't even sell these anymore. Well, I only have 3 of them.
Why don't they sell them anymore?
No, Penn State sells a little bitty one. It's a different brand. And Barracuda used to be one. I used to have one of those. But, until you get used to the lathe and that. See, I know if I put the tool rest there with my height and this machine, I'm in my exact best spot. I've been doing this over 26 years. I've taught thousands of people, I've made thousands and thousands of pieces. So once you learn it, you can go, okay, there. But if you start, go, I'm way down here, and I'm more comfortable right here. Adjust your machine to fit what you're doing. Just trying to get down past that one bug hole, which is right there. You can remove a lot of material very fast. See, now that edge is really sharp, and I can just do that. Now it won't cut me. And see, I just got the tool against me, and I'm moving my body. If I'm doing this, you're going to wear yourself out, you'll start shaking, and you can get in a bad spot. Let's have a look at it. Okay, there's just a little lip that's sticking up, which I don't like. Now, if I'm doing a bowl, it doesn't really matter how thick I make it. So if I want to leave this a 1/4 inch or a little more and make my bowl, see, this one's about a 1/2 inch up here, but down here is thicker, like 3/4, and right here is even thicker. This one has a good 1/2 inch going all the way down. If you make them too thin, they can't be used for a whole bunch. It's kind of a sit there and look at it bowl. If you want it to be used, you need to leave a little thickness to it. Okay, now I'm ready to cut this off and hollow it out. I want to re-tighten the chuck if I'm taking this away. Get rid of that nub. Okay, now I need to adjust around. I'll be using a bowl gouge and coming in and just scooping all the wood out. If this was an in-the-green bowl where the wood was positioned this way, you must drill a hole with the drill bit or one of the other tools and then hollow out from the center out. This is side grain, so I'm going to start close to the center, but I'm cutting towards the center. And the wood just comes right out of there. My niece, her husband, they're moving from Texas to Maine, and he duck hunts. He goes up to Idaho and all that.
Your old hometown.
No, that's Iowa, not Idaho. So I made a really nice duck call, cast resin, a bottle brush burl. It's gorgeous. And he said, I'm never going to use it. I'm just going to hang it on the mallet because it's too pretty. So the outer edge of the bowl is here. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Usually I like to start about there. That's my next cut, next cut, next cut, and go out. We're using a bowl gouge. The cutting edge, when I have it on its side, the flute facing that way, should be right about on dead center. Come in. Now I roll it out, scoop it out. Turn it back on its side. Let it start. I'm in a little bit. Roll it up, scoop it out. On its side. See, if I come in with the flute facing up this way, it wants to grab and run back. If I turn it on its side, that cutting edge lines up with the rotation of the spin and it goes in. Then you roll it open and drop your handle and you can scoop it right out. Now I can also use a round nose scraper. So with the tool on here, flat like the bed of the lathe, I need the cutting edge exactly on dead center or slightly above, with it level, not angled up. And I like to raise it a little higher. This puts you in a safety zone. If you're too low, it's going to grab and dig in and probably snap off that little piece of wood, and this will go sailing over there. But you can come in with this. And it's fast and safe and easy, but the scraper, can you see right there? The grain is just shredded in a scraping cut. It's just all torn up really bad there and there. A scraping cut will do that on this kind of wood. On the mahogany and the rosewood and other hard, dense wood, it cuts pretty good. Or any of the acrylics or resin cast. Now I could turn this tool up, be gliding that bevel on the wood at that angle and come in, and it'll cut just like a gouge. It'll be smooth as smooth could be. And that's part of, if you're going to pursue wood turning, your journey is learning how to apply the cutting edge to the wood to make the things you want to make. And to less work. And less mistakes where you got to fix. Start over here, try to go in, roll it, wrap it. See, now even though my arm's away from my body, I'm not just moving my arm, I'm moving my whole body like that. It gives me control. The little nub in the bottom. Now we would go ahead and hollow this out as soon as we want. Well, that's a nice smooth cut. And then sand it up, and we're going to cut the bottom off. We got 7 minutes.
Plenty of time.
Make one more.
So there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. There's a vacuum chuck. You have to have a thing through here. There's a big bowl like this, got a hole, and you put your piece up, you center it with your tailstock, and turn on a vacuum pump, and then you can take that away, and that's holding it right against there. It's just, you gotta have a special thing, it's gonna be airtight. You can put it on this, but that's gonna leave marks inside there. So if we take a different piece of wood, it's called a jam chuck. That's what I do mostly, because again, I don't do too many bowls. Hardly ever. Something like this, I'm doing a bowl. But like these, I did them just because that piece of wood is just so neat. But those were finished the same way I'm going to do here. We have my extra piece of wood. I'm going to shape the end very similar to this. Put that against there and bring the center up. Now I can come in and cut the bottom off. There's also some coal jaws that go on here. They're big and flat and come way out in a circle. And they have these rubber buttons you put on there, and you position them right, put that in, and it'll squeeze it with the rubber buttons on the outside. But you still need to use this until you got the tiniest little nub left. If you just touch that, it's going to come out and go across the room.
Or you can use wine corks on the cold jar.
Yeah, I use these big, tall, synthetic wine corks, and they work really well. Now, is this end grain or side grain? This is end grain. I need to cut that direction. The bowl, we cut this direction. Just want to test my fit here. See, this outer edge is rubbing on there. And I know this wood is soft. If I put pressure, it's going to dent a groove in there. So I want to round over this outer corner. Because if we make it as close to the shape we want, everything comes out a lot nicer. I just want to see what it does. See, there's a polished spot right there, so it's rubbing right here right now. I'd rather it be out further. But if you have just that little center out too far, it'll only be touching right here and there, and that'll do something different. Now we want to use a piece of paper towel or something in between there. You could put a couple layers just for padding. You can use a piece of leather. And again, there's many ways to do it. Put that in there, snug it. I like to go one against the other. That chews it up a little bit more. I just felt that edge and it's really sharp. So we'll just do that. Now I can do any little changes out here. I'm just going to cut the bottom bit off and leave that foot because this is a demonstration. We don't want to over tighten it, but it has to be tightened enough. And this is running absolutely true. Sometimes there will be a little wobble and you got to change it up a little bit. Raise that up a tiny bit. And if you don't put the paper towel in it and you're applying too much pressure and that stops and that's spinning, it's going to burn a line in there. See, I was cutting with the flute this way, because I was cutting this way, then I turned it over because I was cutting that way. Now my bottom of my piece needs to be flat or slightly undercut. It's just easier to undercut it, so I just want to check real quick. Not undercut enough. I'm going to switch over to the spindle gouge because it's a little tight in here. I'm just slowly working the wood away. Now before I get too thin on this waist piece on the bottom, I would go ahead and sand the bottom. I'll get rid of the sharp corner here first. Now I look at it and I don't know if you can see, but there's a mark right here. Can you see that ring in the? That's a tool mark, and I could work to get that out. It's right there, or I take my parting tool and just go cut a groove there. I eliminated a flaw and I made it a little more interesting with a couple grooves in there. You add a groove on a bad spot, it takes care of it and it looks good. Now we'll finish cutting this off. Now this wood is very fragile, so I need to be more careful than some of the other woods. When there's just a little torn spot there, I have to sand out. There's a little bowl. So, any questions? Comments? Alms for the poor?
Do they still teach woodworking in high school?
I know of one school down in South Broward, Dade County, Miami-Dade, that does. Like we have a girl that was in our club. She went off to college, and she was in the woodworking class when she was 14. I think she's 20 or 21 now.
Divya?
Divya, yeah.
I think she might be graduating. I think she's graduating this year.
Yeah. Well, Rena just turned 21.
Yeah.
So we did a demonstration inside one of the very last workshops.
So that's the bowl?
Yeah.
That's cute, adorable. So then we'll finish off the edges, right?
Yeah,
Part of
see.
it.
Exposure.
Round off the edges maybe? Yeah.
See, that little bowl could be used for salt. Take a pinch of salt and put it on your food. Or, you ladies, that bowl can be used by the kitchen sink for when your husband does the dishes. He takes his ring off and puts it in.
That's true too, yeah. Just something to rush.
Sure.
Did everybody see?
Okay, any
Did
other
everyone
questions?
see?
Because we're at just past 4:30. That's when we're supposed to knock off.
Did you guys?
We got some cleanup to do.
Can I get a top?
What's that?
Can I get a top?
I don't know how much time. When's the library close?
6.
6?
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, I got souvenirs here.
You just write it up on this. Yeah. We'll just
I
have to-
can make a top.